baguettes, welcome to l'Académie Équilibre, and this is the second part of lesson 3, Chercher du Travail, from Entre Jeunes for class 10th. So let's begin. We'll just start from a small exercise on page number 21, that is page numéro 21. Okay, so as you can see, we're basically asked to identify the name of these objects in French from the given list. Okay, so the first one is your files, as we can see, and files in French is des dossiers. Then we have paper clips, that is un trombone in French. Again, just pay attention, this is an exception because even though it ends with E, it is masculin singulier. So a paper clip is un trombone. Then you have a computer, which is un ordinateur. Fourth one is our stapler, that is une agrafeuse in French. Then we have a printer, which is une imprimante. We've already discussed this in part 1, and your verb is imprimer, to print. Then final one is our tape, right, which is un ruban adhésif. Now we're just left with a few more objects that are not part of these images, but then again important. Okay, so une colle is your glue, des ciseaux, which is your scissors, and then des bloc-notes, which is your notepad. And final one is une chemise, which is basically a shirt. Here if you'll see, the odd one out is une chemise because all of these objects are related to your office or your desk, that is objects you will find in a bureau. Okay, so if you're asked to name some objects on a desk, you can write any of these except une chemise. So this can be a question, nommer quelques objets dans un bureau. Alright, so here you will have to memorize the translations, that is, what is each object called in French. Okay, then you should also know at least 3 to 4 names when you have a question like this. So now we're going to move on to our next text. That is related to your singer Céline Dion. Some of you may know her from a song in Titanic. Okay, she's a very famous singer, that is chanteuse. So we're going to be talking about Denise parle à Kancha de sa chanteuse préférée Céline Dion. That is, this is a conversation between Dennis and Akansha, and whose favorite singer is she? Dennis's. Okay, so he starts a conversation. Tu veux jeter un coup d'œil sur ma collection Céline Dion. Okay, now here this is extremely important. Jeter un coup d'œil is basically a French expression that means to take a glance at or to look at. So he's asking if she wants to take a look at her Céline Dion collection. Okay, verb again, your verb vouloir, to want. So Akansha, she responds, j'en ai déjà une idée, tu as tant d'affiches de Céline. That is, she's like, oh, I already have an idea what your Céline Dion collection is. You have so many posters of Céline. Okay, j'en ai déjà une idée, here en. Okay, this is your pronoun en, and déjà means already. And tant de is basically so many, so much. Here we're talking about posters, so it is so many. So many posters of Céline. Then he says, regarde, tu te rappelles du concert pendant lequel elle a jeté des foulards. That is, look, do you remember? So se rappeler is your pronominal verb, that is to remember or to recall. This is similar to your verb s'appeler, that is to call, and when you add R over here, it becomes rappeler, to recall, and it has the same conjugation, that is, in the infinitive we will find a single L, but when you conjugate it, there will be double L. Okay, so it's talking about, do you recall, do you remember the concert pendant lequel, that is, during which. Okay, this is a new thing for us, new topic. You will also see it in many other phrases, that is, dans laquelle, sur laquelle, avec lequel. This is nothing but our les pronoms relatifs composés, which is again a grammar topic. Okay, so for now, you should know it means during which she had thrown. Jeter is to throw, your verb. Des foulards, foulard is nothing but your scarves. So it is your verb jeter, to throw. Now jeter has a bit of a different conjugation in present tense compared to other ER verbs, and if you know it, comment it down below. So as we were talking, foulard is your scarves. Then she says, tu as de la chance, tu en as un sur lequel elle a signé. Again, this is an expression that is avoir de la chance, which means to be lucky. If you translate it literally, it means to have luck. Okay, but in English, we generally say to be lucky. Again, she uses on, that is, you have one of them on which she signed. Here they're talking about the scarf, that is, Dennis basically has a scarf that she threw in one of her concerts, Céline Dion, and it was signed by her. So then he says, tiens, c'est une photo dans laquelle elle est à côté de ma cousine. That is hold, again this is your verb tenir, and it is conjugated exactly as we conjugate the verb venir, to come. Then he shows her a photo in which elle as in Céline Dion, is basically next to his cousin. À côté means to be next to. It is a preposition and means to be next to someone. So Dennis's collection basically includes, first they talked about the scarf, then they talked about the photo, and now they're coming to the stylo, that is the pen. Et c'est stylo avec son autographe, où tu l'as trouvé? That is basically they're talking about the pen with her autograph, and she's asking, where did you find it? Again, L apostrophe, this is your pronom personnel, COD. If you don't know what pronom personnel are, or you're not clear on them, I already have a video on it, feel free to watch it. So this will be easier for you to understand because this whole chapter is about pronouns. So as I was saying, she's asking about where did he find them. That is passé composé, right? So he responds, j'ai acheté des CD avec lesquels je les reçus gratuitement. That is, he basically bought CDs with which he received them free. Okay, that is free of cost. So gratuit means free, and gratuitement is basically an adverb which means freely. Okay, and in English it's basically for free. That is, he didn't have to pay for it, he received it free of cost with the CDs that he bought. Again, L apostrophe, that is your pronoun. Then we're basically ending the conversation. On dit qu'elle donne un concert dans notre ville le mois prochain. That is, they're basically saying, it is your verb dire is dire, to say. Alright, that is on dit. On is your subject, is like one, like generally people are saying, right? People are saying that she is going to give a concert, donner, to give, in our city next month. And last dialogue, Dennis says, et on peut gagner les billets pour lesquels j'achète des DVD chaque semaine. That is, we can win the tickets for which I buy the DVDs every week. Gagner is to win. Billet is your tickets for which I buy DVDs every week. So this was our entire conversation about Céline Dion, which is une chanteuse québécoise. That is, Quebec is a region in Canada, which is basically a French-speaking region. Alright, and as we can see, there were a lot of pronouns here, right? Be it pronom relatif composé, be it pronom personnel. Okay, and these are extremely important for our section C, that is grammar. And I've already got videos on it, so you can refer to that. Now coming on to our very last topic, and you might find a lot of questions related to this in your paper, that is au chômage, which means to be unemployed. So we're going to be seeing a conversation between these two friends, and they're going to be talking about unemployment, how to find a job. So you'll see a lot of vocabulary related to that. Alright, so we're going to begin with it. That is Pierre, he says, ça fait un an que Jean est au chômage. That is, he says, it's been a year, ça fait, that means it's been a year, that Jean is a person, et au chômage, I told you, au chômage, it means to be unemployed. Or you can also say without work. So then Denis, he responds, oui, mais de temps en temps, il fait de l'intérim. That is, from time to time, but from time to time, he does l'intérim, which basically means temporary work. Okay, we have the same word in English, which is interim, and it means temporary. So Jean, he doesn't have a permanent job, but he's still doing some part-time work, you can say. Okay, so c'est vrai, il faut qu'il soit embauché à plein temps. Demande-lui d'aller s'inscrire sur le site internet des pôles emploi.fr. That is, he's saying, yeah, that's true that he's doing part-time work, but it is necessary, il faut. Il faut is an expression, it is always followed by que, and whatever it is necessary, whatever it is. Here, it is necessary that he must be hired for full time. Okay, here soit is your tense, it is être conjugated in subjunctif. Because Pierre, he's giving his opinion, right, that it is necessary. He thinks that he should be hired, Jean, for a permanent job. And faut is basically your verb falloir conjugated in the present tense. Embaucher, again a really important verb, okay, that is to be hired, to hire. Okay, plein temps, already told you, full time. Alright, demande-lui, that is demander, to ask. Okay, it is not to demand, it is to ask. To demand in French is your verb exiger. Okay, but demander is to ask, exiger is to demand. Okay, what is he asking him to do? To go, and s'inscrire means to register. Obviously, we can see that it's a pronominal verb, that is to register himself. Where? On an internet site. What is the name of this site? It is Pôle emploi.fr. It is extremely important. Okay, here another thing you'll see is that site, even though it ends with E, it is le site. It is an exception. And this is the name. So you might get a question for someone who is unemployed, that is au chômage, what should that person do? Okay, or you might also have like write a letter to your friend who is not doing any work right now. So suggest them some ways. Okay, so you can mention, one point is that maybe you can go register yourself on this site. Okay, and then second, what else? C'est ce qu'il fait, that's what he should do. Et il parcourt aussi les annonces classées. That is, what else can a person who is not working can do? Second point is, they can browse those advertisements, right? The job advertisements that we have. And parcours is nothing but your verb parcourir, to browse. So that's another way you can find a job. Then, son CV est bon, il ne doit pas y avoir des problèmes. Another thing, that if you want to be hired, you should have a good CV, right? A good resume. It basically includes all the details a person needs, whoever is hiring you, to find your qualifications, right? Your experiences, basically. So another thing, you can also, if you're writing a letter, for instance, right? For instance, again, the letter thing, that if you're supposed to write a letter to your friend who is not working, you can also say your CV should be good. Okay, if you have a good CV, you're not going to have any problems there, right? Doit, again your verb devoir, that is to must. This again pronoun y, that is there. In terms of that, he's not going to have any problem. Then Denise, he ends the conversation by saying, soyons optimistes. What is that? This is your l'impératif, right? It's an imperative sentence that, oh, we should be optimistic. Soyons is your, again, verb être, because it is an exception, so it's written that way. And optimiste, obviously similar to English, to be optimistic. Okay, so this was our conversation. On the next page, we'll actually see a CV related to it, basically an example. So what does CV stand for? First of all, it is curriculum vitae. Okay, that's what it means. So we have the CV of this person, Jean, whatever. Okay, in French it will be Jean. Otherwise, you can also say Jean. So Jean Véran, that's the person. And generally, what do we start with? Our basic information. So firstly, we have né, that is your verb naître, to be born. It is conjugated in passé composé. Okay, and then you just have the date and the place, that is Versailles. Then his status, that is célibataire, single, and then his address. Okay, and then you'll find his telephone number. All of this basically is very basic information. Okay, so whoever is hiring you, they need to know, where are you from? Okay, maybe how old are you and where you live and stuff like that. Okay, then important part, that is your formation. Basically, what all is your education, right? So we start from the most recent to the beginning. Okay, that is, okay, so we have Juin 2010, that is 2010. What did he have? He has a diploma in engineering. Before that, from 2006 to 2010, that is 2006 to 2010, what does he have? He went to École nationale de chimie et physique de Nancy. That is basically a physics and chemistry national school. Okay, de Nancy. Nancy is where he lives, right? Then 2004, he has a baccalauréat série C, mention bien. It's le bac, like we have 12th boards. They have to give an exam called le baccalauréat. Okay, and then expérience professionnelle. So far we talked about education, then we come to the professional experience. Okay, what all have you worked in, what all have you done? That is that some jobs require that you must have 5 years of experience in this particular field, okay, if you want to work in a company. So it's written over here, depuis janvier 2013, that is since 2013, chargé de la conception des systèmes informatiques du GDF. Okay, so basically here he's mentioned what he worked, right? What was his work? So he was in charge of basically systems, right? Computers in this company called GDF. Okay, and then in September, what did he do? He was an engineer chez GDF Nancy, again a place, a company, right? Then there's langue parlée, so he speaks anglais, that is English. Parler courant means fluently. Okay, courant is basically if you speak something fluently. Okay, he's a fluent speaker. Okay, un nombreux stage linguistique aux États-Unis. That is, he's done multiple. Stage is basically your internship, and this we can make out. Linguistique is your linguistic internships, right? Where has he done it? He's done it in United States, that is États-Unis, USA. So you can obviously see the subheadings, right? We started with the basic information, right? Name, status, address, telephone number, then your education, okay, from the most recent one. Then you have expérience professionnelle, okay, which is basically your experience, what all fields you have worked in your life, and then langue parlée, that is how many languages do you speak or you're fluent in. This is what your CV comprises of. And obviously it has all the information a person would need in order to hire you, that is embaucher. The better your CV, the better your opportunity to get the job. So this was our whole chapter. We've completed it. I hope it was clear to you. Thank you.